Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Social Development and Employment. How does she define long-term welfare dependency in light of her statement that, quote, "I don't think it's just the length of time at all," end quote?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, that's right. I think the length of time is incredibly relevant, but I don't think it is the only consideration. I also went on to state that you could look at those that should have perhaps been work tested but are choosing not to be, and so not living up to their obligations. You'd have to say that have they become dependent on the benefit instead of getting out there and looking for work like they should.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. If she's not using the length of time on a benefit as her definition of welfare dependency, why does she continue to give the example of people on a benefit for 4 years or more as the people she's targeting, without mentioning they might be disabled, terminally ill, or caring for small children, for example?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, as I've quite clearly said, I said that I don't think it is just the length of time that people have been on a benefit. When we have over 3,000 people that have been on the unemployment benefit, for example, for longer than 2 years, and I certainly would have question around their dependency and whether or not we're able to move them into work as well. So length of time is not the only consideration, but it is an important one.
The Honourable
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Can she clarify what she meant when she said, quote, "The definition of dependency will come down to the individual and also as a group"?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I think that what the Minister may be referring to is that there are people that have been on the invalid's benefit for quite some time and they actually need to be. So, you know, we are considerate of those that have long-term illnesses and need state support, and we will equally be looking after them as they need to be.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Who is right? John Key, who said we have a serious and growing problem with long-term welfare dependency, or her who said last week some may be leaning towards dependency and some may be dependent, but then a huge proportion of them are not. They'll move off and on for a short period. Some will be there for a lifetime, and with good reason.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, what I am quite clear on is that over 9 years we saw 51% of people getting sicker and on the sickness benefit. So under 9 years of Labour, actually the population got more sick.
The Honourable Annette.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable
Mr Speaker,
Annette.
I think that answer was quite a long way from the question, and perhaps the Minister might like to address it. She didn't at the Select Committee, but I'm giving her another chance today.
It's a long-term and a short-term problem.
Order. The difficulty I have is that, if I remember correctly, the Honourable Member asked the Minister what she meant by a certain thing that who was right? Who was right? Maybe the Minister could respond a little more to that specific question.
Mr Speaker, both are right. As I've quite clearly stated, is that it's not a one little definition, and I'd just say that while that side of the House is so busy trying to define things, we're busy getting on with the solutions.
The Honourable Annette King.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Does she stand by her statement at the National Party Mainland Conference this year that, quote, "What were initially national slogans have manifested into real policy"? And isn't her problem that welfare dependency was used as a slogan during the election campaign, and now she has to spend $1 million on a working group to figure out what the slogan meant?
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Mr Speaker, I just think that it's quite clear that, yes, I do stand by what I said at the Mainland Conference, and it's quite clear that while the other side of the House are busy trying to decide whether or not there actually is a dependency welfare problem, we're getting on with actually addressing the actual real issues that are facing us when we have a population that is becoming more dependent over a period of time.
Joe Goodhue.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question to the Minister, why is this government so concerned about the impacts of long-term dependency?
Mr Speaker, quite simply because New Zealanders deserve better than a life on welfare. Dame Carol Black in the UK recently reported, and I quote, "For most people, their work is a key factor to their self-worth, family esteem and identity. I am passionately supporting a welfare sustainable system that supports those that can get into work as they can." Slogans.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a quote from an obscure newspaper, the Oamaru Mail, in which the Minister says that these were National Party slogans.
No, we're not going to be tabling. I take it's a recent article. We're not going to be seeking leave to table that. Nice try, but no. Question number 5, John Boscowan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.